Good morning. Today, a special Black History Month edition of Spotlight. This year's national theme, African Americans and labor, all kinds of labor, past and present. And in this celebratory month, what's on tap at one of the nation's best museums for learning about and experiencing the history of African American culture and their contributions. My guest today, Dr. Sharice Burden-Stelly, Associate Professor of African American Studies at Wayne State University, and Yolanda Jack, Manager of Community Engagement at Detroit's Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History, affectionately known as just the Wright. And later, remembering two legendary Detroiters. All right, let's get started. It's Sunday, February the 9th. I'm Chuck Stokes, and this is a Spotlight Black History Month 2025 special. You are described as a Black Studies scholar, no doubt about that. I've looked at some of the different books that you've written, tons of articles, lots of lectures. But if I said, what's your area of expertise in terms of teaching? What would you say?
Sure. It's three broad areas of focus. The Black radical tradition, primarily focused on the 20th century. Black social and political thought, so how have Black people created ideas and produced knowledge about their condition and also how to get free, so to speak. And then also globalization and economic development throughout the African diaspora.
What, in your opinion, would be the significance that the role that African Americans have played in terms of labor, past and present?
African Americans are essential to the U.S. economy, the global political economy, and this has been the case since Black people were brought here involuntarily as enslaved Africans. Somebody like Hubert Harrison or W.E.B. Du Bois will argue that Black people we are a race of workers. We are the most fully proletarianized race of all groups. And so our labor has been essential to building up the economy, building up the society. And so in our current administration, we're seeing an attack on labor and an attack on DEI. And I think that Black people are central to that because often this language is coded for Black people. And so the theme of labor is essential to this month's Black History, or this year's Black History Month, because Black people are both resisting this attack and are also organizing for ways to continue to be relevant and continue to be able to take care of ourselves in this current economy.
You mentioned Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, who you've written a book on, as well as I know that you've studied Paul Robeson and so many other legendary figures in African American history. When you look at, as you mentioned, sort of the turn back in many circles on EDI and other things within the political atmosphere that exists today, what would you say is the role of civil rights today, or is there a role for civil rights today, and is it maybe more important for these organizations today than it was 5, 10, 15 years ago, or from the time they were founded?
I mean, I think civil rights are always important, but as somebody like Malcolm X would say, civil rights are actually human rights. These are rights that are afforded to all people, and these are rights that are actually guaranteed to us in the Constitution, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments in particular. And so the fact that we keep having to renew these rights every 50 years or every 100 years, I think says a lot about how we need to organize ourselves, organize our own institutions, and really be able to build up our people's power to be able to ensure that we have the basic human rights like food, housing, clothing, shelter, and then the types of civil rights like access and privileges. I think there's a woeful historical amnesia in this country by all people, and I think that it's even more so intentional in the past 10 or 20 years to erase that history and to distort that history so that any calls for reparations or for repair are lessened in strength because people don't know the history of the oppression and exploitation on the one hand, but also the tremendous fight back in which Black people have engaged.
Why do you think we are seeing that tension based upon all the scholarly work that you have put together and read and written yourself and studied?
So I think if you mean the tension in terms of the consternation by people who are in power about that history and about that scholarship, I think it's because as more and more people realize what we've gone through, what we've achieved, and also the hurdles that we faced, that that can be an inspiration for organizing and engaging in activism around those very issues today. And I think that that can present a particular challenge when there are certain constituencies who don't want people to be empowered or who want to be able to maintain the wealth, resource, access, and privileges for themselves.
And this is a country that, of course, was built on its diversity. We're going to use that as a little tease, go to a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about that. And welcome back to Spotlight, talking to Professor Sharice Burden-Stelly of Wayne State University. Doctor, you've written a couple of your latest books, Black Scare, Red Scare, Theorizing Capitalist Racism in the U.S., W.E.B. Du Bois, A Life in American History. You're a member of the Black Alliance for Peace and Community Movement Builders.
Exactly.
Did I get all that right?
Yes.
Okay. And not to mention the countless articles that you've written. When you look at the diversity that this country was built on, but you look at the political tension today, in your opinion, are they related?
Yeah, so I think that not everybody is supportive of diversity. Oftentimes, what we call the ruling class wants the labor of racialized people, so of Black folks, Asian folks, Latinx folks, but not necessarily, they don't want to share in the privileges. So the access, the voting, being in the same proximity, living around people. And so I think the more diversity that we have, the more tension it could cause for people who have a particular vision of what this society should be, which is oftentimes predominantly white and male.
Women, African American women in labor, as you look at the history of that, what role have they played?
African American women have played a tremendous role and have often had to do so outside of formal channels like unions in terms of gaining empowerment. So up until like the mid-1960s, Black women have been primarily represented in domestic labor, which is actually extremely important. It means that Black women have been in charge of both production and reproduction. It also means that they have been historically in charge of taking care of other people's family and households as well as their own. Some people call this double or triple oppression or double jeopardy because of the ways that Black women have had to shoulder being able to make a sort of outward facing living and then be able to take care of their households, and have often been the heads of households in disproportionate numbers to other women of other races. And so despite all of these hurdles and burdens, Black women have worked to join unions. They have worked to increase their working conditions. They have worked to empower women to be able to be integrated into all industries, not just domestic work, and that struggle certainly continues.
Do you see a resurgence in unions in this country? And do you think that would be good?
Yes and no. So I think the past 5 years we've seen globally some resurgence of labor energy, whether it's organizing new unions at like Starbucks or Amazon. We've seen strikes. We've seen different types of labor actions at the same time that we haven't been able to sort of launch a general strike to get more progressive legislation on the agenda. So I think that there's more work to do. I do think that a resurgence in union and labor power is very important, but it's going to be an uphill battle, especially in these times, as we see, for example, the one member of the National Labor Relations Board was just fired. And so we see an attack on even the very federal agencies that are meant to protect workers.
What's probably maybe the most popular questions you get from your students as you teach this course?
How did we not know this? Right? Like, why is it that we had to wait until our first or second or third year of college to know about not only events that have happened in history, but certain people? So they might know about Martin Luther King Jr., but they don't know about somebody like William Patterson, who edited the We Charge Genocide petition. And they certainly haven't heard of somebody like Claudia Jones, who was an amazing labor organizer and theoretician. There's so many people that I can name, but they are often disappointed that they haven't heard this history before of organizations like the Black Panther Party or the League of Revolutionary Black Workers, which is significant to people here in Detroit. And so I think that they want more of this history and how to apply that history to the present.
And if I asked you, why is it important to have a Black History Month, what would you say?
Well, shout out to Carter G. Woodson is the first thing I would say, but I think it's important to have a Black History Month as a catalyst for understanding that Black people are important all the time in all facets of life, whether it's history, sociology, political science, and just in our society more broadly. But I think that Black History Month gives us a time to stop and reflect and to really dig deep into that history and to see the ways that Black history is American history and is global history.
Dr. Burton Stelly, thank you so much for coming in, sharing all this knowledge with us. I should mention you have a website. What's the website so people could go to?
It is dr-cbs.com. So I'm known as Dr. CBS. Interesting. I know we're on ABC, but I'm Dr. CBS. And so, yes, please check it out.
All right, we'll forgive you for that. Right. Thank you so much, and enjoy Black History Month.
Thank you.
All right. And coming up, we'll turn our attention to all that you could partake in at the Wright Museum during African American History Month. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome back to Spotlight. Joining me now is Yolanda Jack, and she is with the Wright Museum. Thank you so much for coming in today. You're doing well?
I'm well, thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
You have some exhibitions that aren't there all year long, but they're there now. Many of them kind of tied to Black history and Black History Month. What are the, I guess you would call them what, temporary exhibitions?
Or traveling exhibitions, yes indeed. Yeah, so those exhibitions are ways that I think if we think about the main exhibition, And Still We Rise, that timeline, it covers so very much. And so these other exhibitions like Paul Collins or Gems of the Wright Museum, or the one that's leaving on the 28th, the Frontline Prophet James Baldwin exhibition, those are ways to to get detailed into aspects that you'll find in the main exhibition, And Still We Rise.
Right, and then you also have one on Dr. Wright.
Oh, yes.
Was, of course, the founder of the museum.
Absolutely.
But it's a way that people can drill down more on just who he was.
Absolutely.
I mean, a giant of a figure, a medical doctor, but who had a passion for African American history.
Dr. Wright's story is so dynamic. He was an amazing individual, from Dothan, Alabama, to living and establishing institutions, organizations in the city of Detroit. He was really just very powerful in the way that he really wanted to think about not only today, but the future.
Absolutely. A couple of these, the one, James Baldwin, what will people get out of that? I mean, he was such a prolific writer.
I think people will appreciate his humanity, his understanding of humanity, his appreciation of the circumstances that we were in the time that he lived, but what he was thinking about and the hopes that he had, the optimism that he had. A lot of people were very aware of his frustration and his leaving the United States and wanting to go somewhere else, but he loved his country. And so you'll get a chance to appreciate that his love for people, his love for himself, his love for history, and his love for the United States.
Yeah, such a deep thinker and such a great writer. The Gems of the Wright, drill down, what is that?
That exhibition, it truly is what it says. These are part of the collection objects or pieces of art that have been held by the museum for a period of time. We have over 35,000 objects in our collection, so it's really wonderful to be able to highlight aspects or things that people don't know that are just either standing backstage or, in my world, backstage, but knowing that these things are in storage or being held by the museum, and it's an opportunity for people to appreciate and see just the wonderful, beautiful pieces that have been thinking about artists or moments or locations, events, all kinds of ways that we can get connected to history.
Who is Paul Collins?
Paul Collins is an amazing artist. He is from the state of Michigan, so you should know who he is. And a lot of times people may not realize, but they may have seen some of his work because he was an artist, like a graphic artist early before he became really a great painter or artist, a fine artist. So he would do both. And so this wonderful ability to take what is in his mind and his view and put it so that it's not lost. And one of the things I think is very interesting about him is that coming from the city of Michigan, living in the places that he lived and seeing and reading the news and things like that, he wanted to explore the world on his own. He visited different places across Asia, across the continent of Africa, across the United States to investigate and explore really what was going on. Is what they're saying about our country, about our people, not only in terms of race relations, but in terms of how things are amongst people in general. Are they true, or is it something that's being held back? And so he wanted to find out on his own, and then he represented that in his art, and I really think it's very beautiful.
Very good. All right, a lot more questions that I have for you, and we'll talk about this pamphlet. One of the things I went to last year, which I think is a nice signature thing that you all do, is your CEO, Neil Barclay, does a sit-down interview before an audience of people with noted people from around the country.
Right.
That seems to have really become popular, and it's another extension of this museum.
Absolutely. It's a way for people to get a chance to know Neil and his personality and get connected to him, but also as he's on this level of national connection, he's been in many states around the United States,
right,
and he's gotten a chance to meet these wonderful people. A way for him to bring these individuals who are noted.
Because he has the connection.
He does, and so it's a way to bring this very high level, very formal kind of individual who we might never see in a regular intimate conversation.
Right.
Bring it down to us here in the city of Detroit. Well, not down, but bring it to us. Bring
Yeah.
it over to us.
Outside the board.
Yeah,
Right?
and to a place in a way that people may not consider. Often they're in their thing, in their field, in their bag, as we might say, working, cooking, or anything like that. Here we have a chance to not only do the formal, the work thing, but also get a chance to know who that individual is.
You all have a jewel of a bookstore there, and to say bookstore is not even right, because it's much more than books. It's all kind of gifts that you can go in, and it's a learning experience just within itself.
Absolutely.
Is that one of the most popular things when people come?
Oh, yes.
For tours?
Everybody wants to come and visit the store. There's all kinds of wonderful things, like you said, from books to garments, jewelry, all kinds of things for your home, things that you might want to gift away to people who are far away from us, so they can have a piece of Detroit in their homes with us, and a way to remember their wonderful visit at the museum. That bookstore, or the museum's store as we call it, gives people a way to have a piece of the Wright Museum when they walk away.
People can do group tours, they can do individual tours, and just show up.
Absolutely.
You do special programs for kids?
Oh yes, we do all kind of programs. What I do especially is thinking about how partnerships get connected, how organizations in the community who are doing amazing work, working with young people, working with students, working with seniors maybe, or special groups like that, thinking about how we can connect them to history, help lift up a certain aspect of history, or connect a certain aspect of our historical story to what they're doing right now. What we're doing right now in terms of the voting, the importance of voting, the importance of being a knowledgeable citizen in the United States of America. What does that mean connected to Detroit, state of Michigan, national, and then of course the international connection. We do have that with that power of voting.
If someone walked up to you and said, why is Black History Month so important? Why should I care? What would you say to them?
Well, Black History Month is important because it is history. Our history, humans' history, is important, and we've known that. We have a history class. And so I think it's important for people to remember that Black History Month is an opportunity for us to highlight what had been initially eliminated and erased from history. Dr. Woodson understood that there was a need to tell our story, not as a way to highlight Blacks separate from history, but to include them within the history that's being told in our schools, in our annals. And so we want to make certain that we're not forgetting what has been done. It's not a separate history. It is our history told in a fuller, more complete way, as opposed to eliminating certain individuals or genders or ethnic groups or nationalities. You want to make certain that we tell the full story. And that's what Dr. Woodson was thinking about when he established Black History Week way back in 1926.
Yolanda, Jack, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck during Black History
Thank you
Month
so much.
and beyond.
Thank you. It was a great pleasure. Thank you for having me.
All right, it's always a pleasure having you as well, and good luck over at the Wright Museum. And finally today, what better way to wrap up our special edition this week than to remember two outstanding Detroiters who contributed greatly to African American history. Famed Tuskegee Airman Top Gun pilot Lieutenant Colonel Harry S. Stewart Jr. and retired veteran radio and Fox 2 Detroit television reporter Al Allen. Both passed away this past week at the age of 179 years, respectively. So we thought it would be nice to reach back into our 60th anniversary year archives to share a couple brief spotlight on the past clips from Lieutenant Colonel Stewart and Big Al's last appearance on our Sunday morning program.
My desire at the time was to learn how to fly, and I wanted to keep my eye on the prize there. Racism was rampant at that time there compared to today, even though we haven't gone 100% to where I would like to see us. But at that time, racism was absolutely rampant. The Tuskegee Airmen was an absolutely segregated unit, and we had many things to overcome socially besides the technique of flying itself. But we kept our eye on the prize, and that was the thing, and we can look back on it today and see that the manner in which we conduct ourselves and the route we followed ended up with a plus gain as far as all of was concerned and the nation is concerned in having a uniform service.
I would go to jail rather than tell where I got that information
Your
from.
word is your bond.
And that's right. Now we tell people don't snitch, but you know, in certain situations, we fall in that category too. We don't snitch either sometimes.
The Little Rock Nine,
Yeah.
Key part of civil rights history.
I saw what was going on. I remember what was going on. The intimidation against Ernest Green, the violence against those other 8 students going from Little Rock to Central High School. And I'm a witness to that.
Sure.
And how violent it was, how the nation watched this unfold. This was a black mark on the United States of America. When I first started working at Channel 2, Joe was the automotive reporter at Channel 2.
Yeah.
He says, Al, a couple of things. Number 1, get you a liquid lunch. Number 2, treat your photographers to a lunch and you pay for it. And number 3, come contract time, make sure you're on the air every day and all day so they remember who you are and not forget about you. Great advice.
Yeah.